There's a little girl in ancient Egypt. She's a Hebrew. Her parents, or her father at least, works as a slave for the Egyptians. Now they're allowed homes, and he comes home one evening and they light a candle and they sit and they eat supper together. And she notices a scratch down the arm of her father. She asks her father where the scratch comes from, and maybe she's too young to understand, but she knows at least that he has to work for the Egyptian king, the Pharaoh. And he says, "Today I slipped and I fell, and because I fell, the overseer hit me with his whip." And the little girl is obviously scared. She's upset. She's sad that her father went through that, and asks simply, "Well, why did he hit you?" He begins to explain to her that, well, if he slipped, then the production level went down. The production levels go down for the overseers, then they get in trouble with the people who are overseeing them. And then the people who are overseeing them get in trouble with the people who are overseeing him, and all the way up to Pharaoh. And so because of this system that has been created, it's the people on the very bottom who get beat by their masters. Otherwise, their masters will get beat by their masters and their masters and their masters. There's something systematically wrong with the way that these Hebrew people are being treated in Israel. Now fast forward 2,000 years, 2,500 years, somewhere around there, and you have the people of Israel living in their own country again. But they are not their own people. Instead of Egyptians, they are being oppressed by the superpower of the day that happens to be the Romans. And the Romans are taxing them, and the Romans maybe aren't enslaving them, but they're treating them wrongly. And it's all because if they don't do that, then their overseers will treat them wrongly, all the way up to Caesar. The system is broken, it's wrong, and it causes the people on the bottom to be the ones who get the brunt of the wrongness. The people of God in Egypt began to cry out, "God, don't you see what's happening here? Do you not see what your people are going through? Or if you do see it, do you just not care about us anymore?" 2,000 years later, under Rome, the people are asking the exact same questions. "God, do you not see what's going on down here? Or do you simply not care?" Now, at this time in the Roman occupation, there's a man named Simeon. You'll read about Simeon today. Simeon was promised that he will one day see the consolation of Israel. Consolation means something like the comfort of Israel. Some translations actually say the reconciliation of Israel, meaning the putting back together the way things were always meant to be of Israel. Simeon is not said when he is told this. I've always pictured him as a little boy being told in a dream by God that he's not going to die until one day when he sees the consolation or the reconciliation of Israel. So I picture him as a little boy waking up from that dream and waiting for the day when his parents won't be oppressed anymore. And then when he grows up, waiting for the day that he won't be oppressed anymore. When we meet him in the book of Luke, he's an old man. And I still picture him every evening lighting a candle and waiting for this consolation, this reconciliation of Israel, so that the people younger than him will not live in oppression anymore. It all changes when he meets this baby Jesus, and you know the story. Mary and Joseph bring him Jesus, and he explains to Mary and Joseph and the people around him that he can now die in peace because he has met the consolation of Israel, the reconciliation of Israel. We still light candles in Advent. We watch and we wait because the night seems to be getting darker, but we light candles around the Advent wreath. It's a reminder of the times when not only the people in Egypt cried out, not only when the people in Israel cried out, but at the same time, we cry out to God saying, "God, don't you see what's happening down here? When are you going to do something about it? Advent ultimately is a time, a reminder that the people of God have been crying out for a long time, saying, God, when are you going to do something about it? And we sat around and we sit around still and we light candles and we wait for the consolation of God's people, for the comfort of the world, for the reconciliation of all things to come together as they always would have been. Christmas is not here yet. This is Advent. The world is still dark, but we light candles, remembering that now, 2,000 years ago, God did step in. God came in the form of Christ and comforted the world and reconciled the world through Christ. But it's not Christmas yet. It's still Advent. So we sit around, we light candles. They're purple, just like in Lent. And Lent is a time that we bring together all the things and we think about the ways that we have fallen short. And they're purple in Advent, supposed to be reminding us of the time to repent during this season as well, to bring consolation into the world as people of God, just as Jesus did those years ago. It's dark outside, but a single candle makes it less so. So we light candles, we watch, and we wait, because the reconciliation of all things, not just the people of Israel, but for the entire world, is coming. We just have to wait for it a little bit longer. That's the story of Advent. That's the story of lighting candles, of making sure our hearts are ready. So like Simeon, that we can wait and watch because we've been told, we've been promised. We just have to wait for it.